Welcome to the Finely Tuned Infrastructure Podcast by Rhythmic Technologies. Today, we're diving straight into something really fundamental, but also, honestly, pretty frustrating in cloud security: compliance monitoring.
Yeah, absolutely. We're pulling insights from some work Rhythmic Technologies did, looking at, a core problem people hit right after they deploy those shiny new tools.
And it's this kind of paradox, isn't it?
It really is. So organizations, they get these cloud security posture management tools, CSPMs, right? They deploy them.
Check the box.
Exactly, check the box, thinking, great, compliance sorted. But then they still fail audits. Or, even worse, they have security incidents from the exact things the tool was meant to catch.
Which makes you wonder, okay, what's going wrong? Why isn't the tool doing its job?
Well, a big part of it is just the nature of the cloud. It's so dynamic, things change constantly.
Like faster than code commits sometimes.
Oh, yeah, way faster. So those traditional compliance checks, the point-in-time snapshots, they're basically useless almost the second you take them.
Because the infrastructure's already shifted underneath.
Precisely, that compliance report from yesterday. By the time you're looking at it, it's describing a past reality. The phrase used was, it belongs in the fiction section.
Okay. Harsh, but probably fair.
Mm.
So point in time is out. Continuous monitoring is the answer then. You get a CSPM, turn it on, problem solved.
Well, that's where the next problem comes in. Often, right out of the box, and Datadog gets mentioned as a common example, you flick the switch and suddenly, bam.
An avalanche of alerts.
Thousands, potentially thousands every single day. It's just overwhelming.
Instant alert fatigue.
Totally. And the key point here is nobody is reading that many alerts. Nobody. It's just not feasible.
So if they're not getting read,
nothing gets fixed. It's just noise. You haven't actually made progress.
You've just swapped one problem, the outdated snapshot, for another, this constant drowning noise. You end up just playing like compliance whack-a-mole.
That's a perfect way to put it. And this leads straight into the two main failure modes people see with these tools. First up is what's called the configuration problem.
The off-the-rack suit idea.
Exactly. The default rules these tools come with, they're generic, they have to be to cover everyone. But your cloud environment is custom, it's unique.
So the suit doesn't fit.
Right. Maybe it flags perfectly fine secure Lambda permissions just because they don't match some standard template, but then it misses a really insecure custom IAM role someone built that gives way too much access.
Like letting something read-only accidentally delete data.
Ouch. Yeah, things like that. And because these standard rules don't fit well, they generate a ton of noise.
And when it's too noisy,
teams get overwhelmed,
Yeah.
understandably. So they start silencing things. Maybe whole categories of alerts, just turn that off. It's always firing.
But that's dangerous, right? You might silence the one critical alert in there.
Well, absolutely. You throw the baby out with the bathwater. Critical stuff, like a database accidentally exposed to the internet, can just get lost because everyone's learned to ignore that category of alerts.
Okay, so that's the configuration mess. What's the second failure mode?
The resource problem. It's pretty straightforward, really. Most companies just don't have dedicated compliance engineers sitting around tuning thousands of alerts all day.
It's not realistic. Security engineers are already swamped.
Exactly. These systems shouldn't need full-time babysitters. If they do, they get ignored when things get busy. And things are always busy.
So engineers just end up acknowledging hundreds of alerts, maybe glancing, maybe not, just to clear the queue.
That's the pattern. They don't have the time or maybe even the context to fix the root cause. So they acknowledge, ignore, acknowledge, ignore.
And then it's no surprise when an incident happens related to one of those ignored alerts.
Sadly, no. It's a cycle. Seen it happen many times.
Okay, so obsolete snapshots, alert fatigue, rules that don't fit not enough people. It sounds a bit grim. What actually works then? How do you get value out of these tools?
Right. So the focus shifts. It's not about finding everything. It's about finding what's actionable and relevant for you.
Ruthless filtering.
That's the first step. Aim for a manageable number. Maybe just say 8 or 10 actually critical, actionable alerts per day. Things your team can realistically look at and fix.
How do you get there?
Well, several ways. Custom exceptions for things you know are okay in your setup. Filtering based on severity, focus only on the high and critical stuff initially.
And maybe automating some fixes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Auto remediation for low risk, high volume stuff. If a simple setting is slightly off and it's low risk, just have a script fix it. Humans don't even need to see that alert.
That makes sense. 10 critical things. Yeah, the team could probably handle that. Thousands. Forget it.
Exactly. It changes the dynamic completely. Then there's the idea of controls as code.
Building security and from the start using things like Terraform.
Precisely. Define your security and compliance rules right in your infrastructure code. Make it repeatable, testable.
Like the S3 bucket example. You code it, so every new bucket must have encryption and the right access controls.
Yes. So a developer literally can't deploy an insecure bucket because the code itself enforces the standard. You're preventing the problem proactively.
Making the secure way the easy way.
That's the goal. But, no single thing is a silver bullet. You need layers.
Right, layers of control. What are they?
Well, first are those proactive controls we just talked about. Building security defaults in. Make it hard to do the wrong thing.
Okay, layer 1.
Layer 2. Preventive controls. These are hard limits. Things that stop violations before they can even happen.
Like service control policies in AWS. Blocking dangerous actions entirely.
Exactly. Or permission boundaries on IAM roles. Just making certain mistakes impossible.
Got it. And the third layer.
Detective controls.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, stuff still happens. Environments drift, manual changes occur, things get missed. So you still need that continuous scanning.
To find the gaps.
Yeah, like weeds in your garden. They're going to pop up. The key is spotting them quickly before they cause real problems. That's where the CSPM, when tuned properly, really shines.
Okay, so filter ruthlessly, build security in, use layers. What about lessons learned from, like, real-world cleanups?
Yes. A big one is context matters more than rules.
Meaning the tool needs to understand why something exists.
Exactly. Is this thing supposed to be public? A public API gateway? Probably fine. A public RDS database? Almost certainly not fine, no matter what some generic rule says.
Lack of context just creates noise. Useless alerts.
Totally. Which leads to the next lesson. Prioritize or drown.
If you don't know what's actually important, you waste time on trivial stuff.
You got it. The example given was seeing a team spend ages fixing minor S3 policy issues.
Low-risk stuff.
Yeah, while completely missing unencrypted EBS volumes disk storage holding sensitive customer data. That's a critical failure of prioritization driven by noise and lack of context.
Yikes. Okay, context and prioritization. What else?
Maybe the most crucial one. Make it somebody's job.
Ownership.
Explicit ownership. Having someone, a specific person or team, clearly responsible for the security program's success, not just, oh, security is everyone's job.
Because that means it's nobody's job.
Pretty much. Things fall through the cracks. Having that dedicated owner provides focus, drives follow-up, ensures things actually get fixed and stay fixed.
So tying this all together then.
Yeah.
The tool itself isn't magic.
Not at all. Security posture management, using these CSPM tools, it only really works if you implement it properly. It needs that careful configuration, that contextual awareness, and clear ownership.
It's less about which specific tool you buy and more about how you set it up and manage it.
Absolutely. That's the difference between getting useful insights that actually reduce your risk and just buying an expensive noise generator that creates burnout.
The real work starts after you turn it on.
That's it. Exactly.
And this whole process, this methodology, this is what Rhythmic Technologies has sort of packaged up, right? Based on doing this many times.
Yeah, they've taken these lessons learned from like hundreds of implementations and built a structured approach. It's actually available as a solution on the AWS Marketplace.
So what does it involve?
It's described as about a 12-week implementation service. They handle the whole setup, the monitoring configuration, tuning it for your specific environment, setting up alert management so it's actually, manageable.
Basically implementing all the stuff we just talked about, the filtering, the context, helping set up the processes.
Exactly. It's built from that experience of seeing what works and what doesn't in the real world.
So the takeaway for listeners is maybe stop playing that frustrating game of compliance whack-a-mole.
Please, yes. Instead of struggling with a DIY implementation that often, frankly, falls short, consider getting help to set it up right from the start.
And Rhythmic has that pathway, that solution, ready to go. The link to it on the AWS Marketplace is in the original blog post they wrote. And just a casual mention here, this discussion was AI generated. You can find the original content over at rhythmictech.com.